last year in 2021, I posted one video about how to write a motivation letter to win a scholarship overseas. And from that videos on YouTube, I have received a number of emails from Laos and from Thailand. After reading all those emails, I realized that it can be more beneficial for international viewers as well. So today I am going to do this one in English with the hope that this one can be beneficial for more people. I received erasmusmundus scholarship in European Master in Tourism Management, which studied in Denmark, Slovenia, Spain, and I did my master thesis in Brazil and Bolivia. So with those life-changing experience, I've learned to understand myself so much more. Going to study in different countries really opened my perspective, my world, my imagination, my ideas, and really with those opportunities and with the experience that I gained through that opportunity, I am becoming a person that I'm really proud of. It was beneficial for me. It was a life-changing experience for me, and I know it's going to be for you guys as well if you have a dream. This video is going to be great for a lot of you guys that's preparing yourself to win a scholarship, that want to study overseas and don't know where to start. When we talk about scholarship overseas, it can be master's degree, it can be bachelor's degree. It's really possible to start everything from scratch. If I can make it happen, I do believe that you guys can make it happen as well. So today we are going to talk about motivation letter. The purpose of motivation letter is to let the professors, the university, the scholarships know you. It is important because how you look at yourself says a lot about you. Some of the scholarship might ask some questions, so make sure you answer those questions. If you don't have any guideline of like how to write a motivation letter, let's have a look at it together. There's 6 things that I feel like it's very important to mention in your motivation letter. Number 1, area of interest. To find the main area of interest is by living your life. It's by studying. If you're a student, doing some research, doing some project at the university with your friends, with your professor. It's by taking action, participate in all kind of activities that you feel like you might be interested in. If you stay in touch with yourself and your feeling, you will know exactly what kind of thing that inspire you. If you want to do better, no matter if there's a lots of obstacles or any challenges, you're willing to overcome those challenges by using your strengths and your capacity. You know exactly that's what you want to do. So that's just number 1 area of interest. Actually, in the beginning, you might have different ideas of yourself. You might make a list. If you have 10 of it, you try to make a connection of those 10 to the program that you're applying for. What are they looking for? What kind of people they're looking for? What quality? What's the main area? What they're searching for? So you try to look at the university, the scholarship requirement. They try to look at that description of what are they looking for. So you try to match yourself with the university, with a scholarship, with the program. Because I'm pretty sure some of you might not just apply for one program, some apply for 3 different programs. So it's good to make a list of your area of interest and try to match with the university, with the scholarship, with the program. At that time when I was writing this motivation letter, I was really into volunteer tourism. I worked in this field for almost 4 years before writing this motivation letter. So I was so clear about my main interest as the field that I really like to further my education. I wanted to apply for European Master in Tourism Management. My main area is more about sustainable tourism management and social development in volunteer tourism. I hope you get the idea. If you still don't get the idea, you can leave any question below and then I'll try my best to answer your question. Number 2, academic background. This section is talking about what did you study. For example, if you're applying for the master's degree scholarship, you are then talking about your bachelor's degree experience. Some of you that really good at studying and you have the first class honor, you have the second class honor, or you have won any awards, or you've gained any recognitions from university, from any organizations that you maybe took part in any competitions or any contests. Make sure you write them down. Anything that you feel like you can shine. For example, in my case, I graduated with a Bachelor of Arts, Social Science for Development from Silpakorn University in Thailand. I explain about what did I take part in the university. If I want to mention something about a subject that I'm really into, I can talk about this. And I also mentioned that I didn't only study, but I also working in the field of research and projects. It needs to be something that can be related to the scholarships program that you apply. For example, for me, my main goal for this letter, because I wanted to apply for European Master in Tourism Management. I have mentioned in one part of the letter that my main area is more about sustainable tourism management and social development in volunteer tourism. I then would just make a list of what I have done that could be part of this. I want to be sure that I actually told them an example of what I have done and what I have achieved during my young age. So then they can see the picture of this person that, okay, when she was about 20, she was really interested in this. And she not only interested in the things, but she also took part in different kinds of activities that could empower her better, that could inspire her to move for the next step, which is applying for these scholarships. You will be much more interesting if you can talk about what is the reflection, because everything we do, we learn of something from that. Make sure that you write something that can let yourself shine. So then when a person read your motivation letter, they can feel like, I really want to have this person in our program. Take your time and spend a good amount of time in writing and editing and try to understanding your motivation letter. Number 3, international background. Alright, international background is such an important part of my application. It's plays such an essential role in my motivation letter. Some of the universities, some of scholarship actually ask you to write about international background, some don't. Some don't really mention about this, but why do I think it's so important? Because when you talk about the international background, it's actually telling them that you are interested in other people's culture. You are interested in living in a multicultural environment. So when a person is interested in that, they can do so well. And that is important, especially when it comes to erasmusmundus scholarship. After reading the purpose of erasmusmundus, they want to give opportunities to students around the world, non-European, European countries, so everyone in this world to come to Europe. If they're looking for someone to go and study in Europe, I feel like they need someone who is really open-minded. I think that they need some people who are willing to learn about different cultures and willing to understand the complexity of the society. To make my motivation letter more outstanding, I need to be sure that I add something that I'm really good at, which is my international background, like studying in different countries, learning about different cultures, and I love that. That's part of my life. So when I look back, I was an exchange student when I was 16 years old. I participated in Youth Encounter on Sustainability in Australia. This scholarship gave to 40 students around the world, bachelor's students, master's students, and PhD students, and also there were a lot of professors that specialized in sustainable development from around the world. Seeing everyone presenting that research, that project, what they study and about their country, it's really an eye-opening experience, because I found myself that it's a lot that I could improve. That's a lots of things I need to learn in order to be a better version of myself, to have more knowledge and educations and experiences to help the community that I will be living in, because I never know what's gonna happen in the future. For you guys as well, I feel like if you guys have done some things that you feel like other people might not have done it, or you feel like you're kind of good at it, you can write it down, because everyone is different. Everyone is unique in our own way. The international background is a plus for my application, so I wrote them down. for them to understand that I'm willing to learn, I'm willing to understand and accept different cultures while maintaining a grateful of my own. And not only did I mention that I participate in this, because participating, everyone can participate in lots of activities, but what did you learn from it? What did you do after with the knowledge you have acquired during those programs? It's important to be able to explain what did you learn, what was the reflection of it. If you ever been to any other country and you ever participated in any seminar or research or anything, write it down. There's going to be a lot of ideas that crossed your mind and you don't know which one it's good to write down. What I did was, like, for example, I wrote down AFS exchange student in Finland 2003, and then I just wrote down what did I learn and what was important, and I list them down. For example, if I had 10 things that was important, are there all 10 that's relating to this scholarship, this program that I'm applying? No, there were only 3. So if there were only 3 things that could apply for this scholarship, put it down. And I talk about what was the reflection. Yes, you can talk about it if you could reflect those period of time, things that has happened to your life. Number 4, work experience. As we all know that there are kind of 2 types of people applying for a scholarship. The first one is the one without work experience, and the second one with the work experience. Both types of candidates has pros and cons. I don't really believe that everyone needs to have a work experience in order to further the education. Everyone's is different and we are motivated to live our life different ways. So just for you guys that don't have work experience, you can skip this one or you can listen to this part to understand why having work experience would be a good help for the motivation letter. So just a little bit for you guys to understand, the time that I got this scholarship wasn't the first time that I'm applying for this erasmusmundus scholarship. I did apply for it 3 years before, and the differences between the times that I got accepted and the time that I was rejected was the work experience. I remember talking to my project coordinator, what was the reasons, why did they pick me? Project coordinator actually did mention that I was kind of outstanding in part of the work experience. By reading my motivation letter, they could picture what I have done. A lot of us have worked after graduation, and by working, we learned a lot about ourselves. We have learned a lot about the practical world. We have learned a lot about human connection. We learned about the system that it used to be in the book. So for those of you who have a lot of jobs before applying for the scholarship, you know that you're not sure which jobs would be related to the field that you're applying for. So I think the simple steps is the same as the previous 3, which is list them down in the blank paper like this, because it's going to be more clear for us to understand ourselves and also for us to understand the path that we took before we applying for this scholarship. The more you are clear about yourself, the better their professors at university gonna understand you and could picture you in the future with them. Okay, so get the paper and write down all the jobs that you have done before. After you have the name of all the jobs, you can write down their roles and responsibilities. Being able to identify your job clearly will help the professor, the university, the scholarship to understand you. So apart from knowing your ability to tackle all obstacles, apart from knowing your achievement, you also need to understand how those experiences have shaped you to be a person you are today. We need to be able to explain what kind of person we are now after those experiences. Those who learn will be able to learn more. If we can't reflect ourselves, it's going to be impossible for us to learn for the future. So I encourage you to really dig deeper into your inner self, into your personal growth, into what kind of person you have become. You might be surprised of how much you have accomplished in terms of jobs, and how much you have accomplished in terms of yourself, and how much you have done for your community. By understanding yourself more will inspire you to do so much more. Okay, next, Do we write everything? No, not really. You're not going to write every jobs you have done. You're not going to put everything in that because some of the jobs are irrelevant to the things that you will be starting in the future. But the reason why I asked you to put down all the things you have done is because you will see the picture of yourself clear. And when you are clear with yourself, then you know which one is important and which one is not. Okay, next step after you have all the information about your work, then let's talk about the scholarships and the universities and the programs that you're applying for. If any of your work experience is relevant to the scholarship, to the program, to the university, when you know the quality of a person, that university, that the scholarship is looking for, then you can highlight anything that you have. It works both ways. Like, this is what I have to offer. This is what you are looking for. So if two of these meet in the middle, then you have a high chance to get the professor's attention. And that is already enough, because if you can make your motivation letter a little bit eye-catching, a little bit more outstanding, a little bit more inspiring, they can spend more time reading your motivation letter. Now, we never know how many motivation letters the professors need to read in a day. So let's try to be sure that we have present the best version of ourselves by reading the motivation letter. If they could catch your personality, if they could catch anything about you, it will be a plus because they can remember you. So when you already have selected the numbers of your jobs that you have done, and also all the experiences, all the reflections, and the kind of person you have become, all the kind of strengths that you have developed. Some of you might be asking like, oh, I have worked a lot, I have done lots of things, and I really want to tell everything in this motivation letter. Is that possible? I would say like this, don't worry about like wanting to tell them everything you have been through, because I'm pretty sure all your experience are valuable, right? But you also have a CV that you can write down every single jobs you have done before. But the motivation letter, let it be for something that is very important and relating to the program. For sure, by reading the motivation letter, if it's really, really good, then when they read CV, they will be also surprised that you have also done something extra. Let's keep the motivation letter for something very important and also something relating to the field or to the program that you're applying for. And then the rest of the experiences that you feel like it's really good, it's really useful, you have done so many things and you really want to mention it in your letter, let's try to put it down in the CV. So then they can have extra information about you. The fact that I don't encourage you guys to write down every single things you have done in the past is just because it depends on the university's scholarship requirement. Some of the scholarship don't say anything. Some of the scholarship mention that you should just write 1 page. Some mention that you should just do 2. Some say 3. Some actually say 4,000 words. Some say 400 words. Is very different. You just need to be clear of how many words we can write. For sure, if they say that you can do 4 pages, please tell us everything about yourself. 4 pages, 5 pages. I think it's for sure you can write everything down. But then if they say that I only want 1 or 2 pages about yourself in this motivation letter, so be sure that we do 1 or 2 pages of something very important about ourselves. When I applied for this scholarship, I was 26 years old, and at 26 years old, I have done 5 or 6 jobs. But the first 4 jobs, there was nothing really relevant to the program that I was applying for. So the last 2 jobs, straight to the point. So I picked these 2, and I had things to talk about those 2. Firstly, I knew the company that I work for. Number 2, it's about my position. Number 3 is about my roles and responsibilities. Number 4, what did I do to make a difference? What did I do to change the society? What did I do to change in a person? Number 5, reflection I got from that. And number 6, my personal growth. And number 7 was like what kind of person I have become. And number 8 is what I want to do, what those jobs has inspired me to do better in which way, and why it's important to further my education in this school, in this university with this scholarship, and how does the scholarship would help me and how it's gonna enable me to do better for the society. Number 5, future prospect. All right, what does future prospect has to do with motivation letter? A lot. It's a lot because you need to tell what are you going to do in the future. Why is that important? Because they want to be sure that every single dollar, every single euro, every single penny they give you, it's going to be worth it. How are they gonna know? Yes, by you telling them what you're going to do in the future. Okay, let's just follow this motivation letter. So first off, you talked about what you're interested in, what's the main area of interest. Number 2, you talk about academic background. Number 3, you talk about the international background. Number 4, you talk about your work experience. So now they have seen a lot of you in the past. They have seen what have made you become a person you are today. They have seen already what you have done. They want to see what is your future plan. What do you plan to do in your future life after graduation, after they granted you the scholarship? How are you going to make use of the scholarship? Is it gonna be worth it? The future prospect can be anything. It can be anything you dream of if you have a dream. But when I say it can be anything, it doesn't mean like it can be anything. I mean that it can be anything relating to the program you're applying for. Does it make sense? Yes, it does. Okay, applying for example, I said that I'm applying for European Master in Tourism Management, and my work experience was about volunteer tourism. So my future self, I could see myself working in the volunteer tourism industry to help promote peace, to help generate income, to help making more understanding, to help improving the life qualities of the people. So that's what I explained in my motivation letter. And it makes sense to me when I look at everything. So the things that you write down on your motivation letter needs to be a story of yourself that is unique, that is makes sense, that is the truth about yourself, but also relating to the scholarship, to the program that you're applying for. But you also need to be sure you understand the purpose of each scholarship, because like say for erasmusmundus, there's no condition. You can stay longer in Europe. You can do anything later. You can be in everywhere in this world, because I do believe that erasmusmundus wants to help producing, to help making, to help contributing a better human to the world. Doesn't matter where we are going to be in this world. You're going to live in Europe, that's fine. You go back to your home country, that is okay. You're going to America, to Australia, to Canada, or to live in South America, to South Africa. It's all okay. I had a plan to come back to Thailand, so I wrote down about coming back to Thailand with this scholarship. If you guys are applying for Erasmus Mundus scholarship and you do believe that you might want to find a job in European countries, you need to have the reason for that. And if it's enough reason, if it's good enough reason, either to go there to get more experience, to come back to improve the quality of specific industry in Thailand, you can do that as well. I think it all makes sense. Try to think about it. I really can't say to come back to Thailand is the best option to write out in the motivation letter, or not, just because each of us is applying for different scholarship, each of us is applying for different programs, and some of the program it doesn't make sense to come back directly to Thailand just because you need practice time too. So it's mean that you might need to stay longer in European countries, or you need to get more experience in other different countries before coming back to Thailand. Just maybe because in Thailand we just don't have that field for you to work for. So it will make sense, and find as many information as you can. Just because this is about your life, I think you should spend a good amount of time to get enough information for your future self. Some of the scholarship encouraging you to come back to your home country. Then for your future prospect in this area, you then supposed to write down that you're coming back to Thailand, or you're going back to your home country. Because if they say that you should come back and you say that you're not coming back, then maybe you're not getting a scholarship, because it's like you don't even understand the purpose of the scholarship, right? I think it's important for you to really do understand the scholarship well. You also need to understand their expectation of you as well. You should come back to your home country because the area that I'm giving the scholarship is lacking your country, so that's why I want you to come back to your country. That is important to be clear with the program. What are they expecting you to do after graduation? Some it's no conditions, some has some conditions, so we studied about that. It's worth it to study, so then you can write a proper motivation letter that can let them understand that you really do understand what is the purpose of them giving you, granting you, funding you that money to study. Okay, I hope you get clear picture of the future prospect. Number 6, expectation of the program. You've been with me for almost 30 minutes now. I'm not sure. I think by the end of this editing the video, I do believe it's going to be about like 40 minutes. When we talk about an expectations of the program, I like you to think about what do you expect to get from the program, and in return, what are you going to give to the program? The balance of life is to being able to give, to share, and to receive. How did I start writing this part of my motivation letter? I started off by looking at myself and looking at the program. So I look at all the courses of the program, the subjects that I will be studying. I'm pretty sure when you're applying for each programs, they're giving you the subjects that you will be studying during those 2 years in case of master degrees, and those 4 years in case of bachelor's degree, and maybe many more years for the PhD. So when you see that, I like you to really go and have a look at the deeper meanings of each subject. What do you like about those? It's important to spend your time, to really make your time to read all those, what they have to offer, what kind of things they want to teach you. We kind of like need to know their values and see if it can match with our values and what can we contribute to that program as well. So when you read the program, you can write down the subjects that you like, the subjects that really interesting, the subject that marks your interest, the subject that really make you curious about studying, the subject that you feel like after studying this subject, you're gonna make a use of it so much. It's gonna be very beneficial for your future self. It's gonna be beneficial for your future career. It's gonna be good for whatever you're gonna do in the future. That is one part. And then the second part is also thinking about any subjects that you feel like you can contribute to the classroom as well. I do believe that each of us have lived our life and we have our own experience that can contribute to the classroom. When it comes to Erasmus Mundus, I think that the reasons that Erasmus Mundus call for applications around the world is because the multicultural environment will make a better understanding of the world. For example, in my class, when I went to study, there were 32 students from 26 countries. It was such a unique experience that I have never experienced anywhere else before, and I just loved it so much to really get to understand the idea of people who living in different countries, who had different upbringings, have different cultures, have different histories, and then you learn from them. You learn that, all right, so this is also possible to think this way. It's also possible to do like that. It's also okay to make that kind of decision. It's also fine to live this life the way they decided to live, even it's really different from how I would live my life. But That's nothing wrong. I'm sorry, I'm talking so much about every other areas in life. Let's come back to the expectations of the program. All right, expectation of the program. So like we already know that we're gonna list down the subjects. Anything that you can write down. It can be the subjects, the courses, there may be the field trips, or anything that you found, or the projects or the research. It can be anything though that you found very, very interesting and you want to go and take what they have to offer. This is one part. And then you also need to write down anything from you that you can contribute to the program, to the university, to the scholarship, to your classmate, to your professors, to the projects that you'll be doing, or to your dissertation, for your reports, anything that you can contribute. Write them down. What you like to take and what you like to share. By studying your program well, you will know exactly what kind of things you need to write down. It really shows that you care. It really shows that you pay attention to details. It really shows that you really, really want to make this happen. I think that's the kind of person you are. And if it's match as well, so they'd be like, okay, so this is her expectation, this is his expectation. And then by telling what you expect to contribute, by telling what you expect to give to the program, we'll let them know what kind of person are they getting to come in, to work with, to study with, to be involved with the rest of the community. So we'll make them see you as a person. Maybe that year they are looking for this kind of personality, this kind of people, this kind of knowledge, this kind of contribution, this kind of add up. Maybe you are then a perfect fit for them in that year. You never know. The motivation letter should not only mention about anything formal. I do believe that some part of the motivation letter you can show your personality for them to understand, okay, this is the kind of person that will be in our program. Does it fit? And if you do work hard on your motivation letter, on your CV, on the recommendation letter, and try to make sure you pass your English test to be qualified for the program that you're applying for, I do believe that your dream is in your reach. It is possible to do that. It is possible to start writing from scratch. It is possible to start trying to understand yourself, is start writing the motivation letter that could represent yourself well. Like I mentioned many times, and I will say it again before I finish this video, if you understand yourself well enough, that would help other people understand you well. So apart from those 6 tips of how to write a motivation letter to win a scholarship, that's one thing that I did before I sent my motivation letter to the program, was that I knew my limitation of writing formal English letter. I'm not from English speaking countries, and I know there are some mistakes that I make in my motivation letter, and I didn't really want to leave it that way, just because I believe that motivation letter, of course at some point it can be informal, but most of the parts really need to be formal, which means that you need to be sure that your motivation letter is grammatically correct. So in order to do that, I have sent my first draft to 5 friends that lived in different countries, that lived in England, Canada, Australia, America, New Zealand, and I asked them to just leave any suggestions that they had for me to improve my motivation letter. Why did I send to those people from English speaking countries? To check my motivation letter, to correct my motivation letter in terms of grammar, just because I want to be sure that my motivation letter makes sense. Because I'm originally from Thailand, and when I write my motivation letter, at some point I might have used the wrong word. I want to say one thing and I might pick different meanings, so I like to be sure that all those 5 friends read my motivation letter and they understand in the same way. So for me, I spend a lot of time writing my motivation letter. As I grow, as I have more experience to write down, I just put it down, and after 3 years my motivation letter letter is in the perfect use. It tells a good story. It needs to be correct as well. So that's why I sent to all my friends. And after they sent it back to me, each of the friends from different countries mentioned what they didn't understand quite well, or they have said that maybe you better use this word. So I try to make sure that at the end I make the best version of my motivation letter by listening to all that comments. The scholarship, the university will understand, will get to know you by reading your motivation letter and by reading the recommendation letter from your supervisor, from your professor at the university, by reading your CV. So with these three things, you really need to make it as good as you can. You need to really give time to make it as amazing as you are. It will be worth it. Your time, your energy, your everything, because the experience that come with their scholarship overseas will change your life. I like to tell you guys that if you have any questions, please leave your comment down below. I will try to answer as I can. If I don't know the answer, I'll tell you that I don't know, but if I know how to find the answer, I'll try my best to find the answer for you. Alright, that's all the 6 tips of how to write a motivation letter to win a scholarship. I hope this video can give you some hope and can make you have a better idea of how to write a motivation letter to win a scholarship overseas, and can inspire you to start writing a motivation letter. I do want to tell you guys that there are hope everywhere, the possibilities everywhere, and also the love everywhere. Please start from yourself. If you really have a dream, go and take action and do it. I have made a group called Social Media Community on Facebook, and you can join the groups and get their motivation letters, recommendation letters of the successful candidates. Thanks to all my friends that won different scholarships overseas that contributing to this group. So some won a scholarship to South America, some won to study in Asia, some won a scholarship studying in European countries, some in America, some in Australia. So I like to encourage you to read the motivation letter for the inspiration. By giving you guys a motivation letter sample, it's not that I like you guys to copy it. You want to be your own self, and your own self is already really unique and beautiful. If you believe in your own beautiful and your own authentic, your own story, I do know that you can do so well. You can write a really good motivation letter for yourself. When people get a lot of examples, they can see that there's a lot of possibilities, because the motivation letters that we share comes in different forms. Some of it's in 1 page, some in 2 pages, some 3 pages. We even have the motivation letter to the program that they require you to write 9 pages to. So you can see different kinds of examples of the motivation letter for you guys to motivate you to write your own motivation letter. Don't forget to be true to yourself. Talk about things that really happened to your life, telling your own story. You are amazing as you are. I really can't wait for you guys to see the finished version of your motivation letter, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be authentic, uniquely beautiful as you are. Thank you so much for your support. I hope you guys live your everyday life fully and own your story, because your story, it's beautiful. Until next time, bye bye.